again for coming to this special MISC event. Today we will have 5 teams of students from the critical making workshop presenting their thought-provoking ideas and prototypes that challenge the future of wearables and the body. So unfortunately one team won't be able to come because of time conflict, but the rest of the 5 teams can come. And to better help you appreciate their works and ask questions, I'll briefly describe what this critical making workshop is, and I'll leave the rest of the time for them for presentation. So last Monday and Tuesday, sponsored by the diversity funding provided by School of Information and also with the help from Judy Lawson, the DoIIIT committee members hosted a 2-day workshop with the goal to strengthen SI's design and making culture and also to increase the awareness of diversity through making. So DoIIIT is a student-led group that is interested in exploring making and artistic production as a way to do research and to solve problems. We strongly value collaboration, which is why we don't use DIY, we use DIT, and that's the DIT in the DoIIIT name. And also we are particularly interested in making interactive, intelligent, and interconnected things, or technology beyond mobile or desktop app, which is why we have the 3I in our name. So if you're interested in, I received a lot of contact or interest that want to join the group. So if you're interested in, there's a sheet on the food table that you can sign up. We'll contact you soon. So in these 2 days of workshop, we hosted a variety of events, including like at the beginning, Jasmine and Cindy gave a lecture on what critical making is, and then we criticize existing wearable devices. We fly Leah Buckley, the inventor of Arduino LittlePad, and also former professor at MIT Media Lab, to share her journey and to make things with us. We also hosted a panel discussion with design school faculty, Sophia Bruckner and Nick Togier, and also Eric Hofer from SI to discuss what is critical making and how is that related to their work. And most importantly, the student teams got 16 hours to work on a project that they care about, and 16 hours means if they don't sleep. And we offer a limited set of materials, and they are tasked to create a wearable prototype and also a design fiction about the issue that they care about. So this wearable prototype is a product of critical making, meaning that they make things to represent ideas, and also these ideas challenge the assumption about the role of object, and in this case, the role of wearable devices. And design fiction means they use storytelling elements to envision and explore the possible future of design, and this helps them to explore the possible social implications for these technology. And so their products or their project are not necessarily like commercial product. They represent more as a beginning of design rather than like the end of the design. And because they only have 16 hours, so it's pretty short. It's hard to finish something that's super sophisticated. So that's about the workshop and about like their work. And I'll leave the rest of the time for them to present, and just also let the team know you have 5 minutes for a presentation and then 3 minutes for a Q&A. I will gesture to you when you have 1 minute left, and let's welcome the first team, the Mobility Empathy team.
Hi everyone, I'm a little short, so I'm going to have to put this down. today to tell you about something that we worked on over the fall break. Excuse me. We call it the empathy glove. That may sound a little odd, but that's exactly what it's for. Basically, when we began brainstorming about what we wanted to do, we started talking about physical disabilities and also the topic of prosthetics. And the reason we kind of gravitated toward this topic is because, well, one reason is I actually have a disability, and I did not admit it last time. I did not. I said I used to have one, and actually I still have one. So I've had some issues with my right knee. I've had a couple surgeries on it. Right now it's okay, but it could degrade. So that's my personal interest. Do you want to talk about that?
And my father was visually impaired, so I'm kind of into disabilities. Also, my grandfather was paralyzed like a few years back, and so I wanted to do something which will, make people understand what disability means.
So that's kind of how we gravitated toward this idea. And you can see from the slide that we did quite a bit of brainstorming along with the rest of the attendees at the workshop. I'm going to move on just a little bit. So these were some of the questions that we asked ourselves while we were brainstorming. One of the questions was, if you met someone and you developed a relationship, would you actually marry someone who had a serious disability? And then some of the other questions were, about self-sacrifice. Would you actually give up a leg if you had to? What would be the conditions for that? And then, we talk a lot about the Olympics and competing, especially in this country, I would say. And how would you feel if someone who had a prosthetic actually performed better than you did in a race? So these are some of the ideas that we came up with as far as our brainstorming. A couple other ones as well, but we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. So these were some of the, after the brainstorming, these were kind of some of the ideas that we moved to. And like I was talking about the Olympics, instead of separating out folks who have disabilities with those who do not, how about having everyone compete together? That's a novel idea that I don't know why we haven't thought about. And then we also thought about the idea of prosthetic pants. And really the crux to that is, just like myself, I kind of hide the fact that I have a disability. With prosthetic pants, if everyone wore them, folks who are disabled and who are not, you would never know who's actually disabled. So that stigma would not actually exist anymore. So these are some of the ideas. And really the point of our device is to have folks who do not have disabilities experience what it's like to have a disability. Now clearly you cannot possibly put yourself in the shoes of someone who has it exactly, but we think that this device is fairly close to what you may actually experience. And then again, this is, if you don't have a disability, we kind of take things for granted. We take things for granted like picking up a cup and drinking, or being able to bend over and touch your toes. So again, we really value things that we don't. Okay, and so this led us to the idea of imposing limits, and this would be on people who do not have disabilities, physical limits. This is some of the work that we did. I'm going to, if you want to.
So we started off with a flex sensor, which, we narrowed down on the idea that what part of the body do we limit the motion in? And we thought of the neck, the leg, your arms, and something just struck us that, okay, what's the most basic things we do every day? We drink water, or we grab something. And so that's what we thought, that let's implement that. And we used a flex sensor to kind of check how fast you can grab something, and if you want to limit that, you need to do it very, very slowly and carefully. And so we came up with a device which actually measures how fast you grab something, and if you grab it too fast, it should shock you. But we didn't have shock creators, so we just came up with a buzzer and a light to give feedback. Let me just demonstrate that for you. So it's green right now, and I'm going to grab this remote. Oh, I did too fast. Oh, again, too fast. Let me try from a different angle. Okay, I did it! So, the point of this device is to make you aware of some things which we take for granted. Like, this is such a simple action, we do it every day, but when we do it so slowly, we understand that there's so many kind of motions that go into grabbing. And hopefully, we can expand this to every part of the body.
And this is just the picture of what you see on Anna's hand here. Thank you.
Any questions or feedback to them? No?
I know in the education space, there's a lot of people doing this empathy work, specifically around VR. And I'm wondering, what are the benefits of something maybe physical, like that glove, versus a VR environment where people can also engage in empathy work?
This is more tangible. I mean, you can touch something, you can use something which is physically available. But for VR, you have to, it doesn't feel as real as using a glove or a physical object. And it may feel like more like a game compared to this, and maybe people will not take it so seriously. And this is something we can do right away. For VR, you have to have engineers and lots of special skills to make it.
I also like this kind of presentation or social aspect of it. I feel like there could be a conversation that could be taken from that, as opposed to a VR environment is very interpersonal, but that seems more social.
Yes, that's a good point. VR, only one person is in VR, unless you figure out a way to get perspectives and multiple VRs. I haven't seen that.
Another approach to this kind of induced empathy is actually restricting the motion, or you can wear these glasses that make your vision impaired, so you understand what it's like to have low vision or something like that. Or you could have made just a glove that had a certain rigidity, for example, that made it very hard to move. What do you think the pros and cons of this approach, as opposed to just kind of actually restricting the motion or the vision or something like that would be?
I can talk to you about that because I've experienced that. Back in India, there was a place called Dialogue in the Dark in Hyderabad, where it's a room which is so dark, not even your night vision can adapt to it, and you have to navigate through sort of a maze. You have to play cricket in the dark, you have to identify objects with your smell, and you have to eat there. So that was an experience which led me to this idea. And obviously Jill's knee problem also, that, that got restricted. And because of that, we thought of making an electronic version. This would have worked really well if it shocked you, because it prevents you, literally, and not just a buzzer. This looks more like a game, but I would say the glove, a physical object, or a blindness goggle would work better in certain scenarios, but we could do a lot more with this. Maybe make it into a VR game combined with this. Making a glove, maybe it will have a limitation of how long its rigidity would last. Or that's actually a very simple example. I agree with that. Maybe, yeah.
We'd actually thought about being able to restrict movement completely, where someone, you know, has total loss of that. And we also, one of the ideas that we had come up with was, you know, how if something happens over there, you're going to turn your head. Well, what happens if you can't move your neck at all? And you're going to have to move your entire body around to actually see something. So that was another idea that we had.
Okay. So this could be done with electronics more easily than having specific body parts. Also, this can adapt to different sizes.
Okay, sorry,
Sorry.
the time runs out, so if you want to chat with them, you can talk about their ideas later on. Now we have the death and memory group.
It's his idea.
Does it hurt you?
Hi everyone. Death. Death is part of life. It's inevitable. It's undefeated. It is something that we think about every day. But yet, when we started this project, we first thought, let's make something that can make it easier to die. How can we make that process better for us? But yes, as we pondered this thought, and we got kind of more, we kind of veered off track, and we thought more of how has humanity throughout the ages tried to beat death? How have we, in our own better words, how have we tried to live forever? So first we thought of the pharaohs, or the Egyptians. Pharaohs like Khufu or Amenhotep II or Ramses II. They built monuments in their honor. So when they returned back from death, they would still be worshipped and remembered as almost gods among men. But these pharaohs, as is shown by this poem by Percy Shelley's Choice, that even over time, things made of wood, stone, flesh, all return from whence they came. They all erode, they all crumble. I look upon Ozymandias' face, and I feel no awe, I feel no despair. I almost mock that a man thought that he could beat death. Even today, we built monuments above our loved ones to remember their presence. But even these monuments, they erode, too difficult to be read. So, how can we beat death? If this is something that we can't do, is it possible to live forever? I actually say yes. To beat death is to continue one's own memory. The actual, tangible memory. Not a flesh of gold, not a giant colossi iron image, but an actual memory. That way we can then learn more from our loved ones, their dreams, their passions, their ideas, their times of sadness, times of happiness, times of fear. We can better understand who they were if we can actually remember, if we can actually hear and learn from their memories. So to do this, we built Core. What is Core? Core is named after the Greek goddess of fertility, as well as the wife of Hades, also known as Persephone. Core is also the very nature of our being. It is the memories that we hold deep within our brains, within our hearts. That is the core of who we are. Similar to the idea of fertility, even after death, there can come life. So we came up with this idea of, well, if we die, then what is the thing that we could hold on to that could make us live forever? Our memory is the actual new life, what comes after death. This is what we ended up making. The idea is it was styled after Victorian mourning heirlooms, which are often carried around by loved ones over a period of time, so they can better reflect on those who have passed away. This could be something that would be passed on from generation to generation to generation. So you could remember the memories of not just one who just passed away, but also of those who have lived far before you have lived. So the experience. How does this thing actually work? Sadly, we had to dismantle the device, and I can't show it to you today. But let's just imagine, I'm going to run through a quick scenario. So before anything, this device now holds the memories of my life. It could be my dad, my mom, my grandmother, it could be anyone. And say, I'm walking around, I'm walking down New York City, and I walk past a park bench. And I feel something upon my breast, and there's a vibration. And then I take it out, and I look at it, and it's lit up. It's very bright. And then I open it, and I see a photo of my loved one. And it could be a photo of that exact location. They placed it right in there. And then I close my eyes, and I meditate, and I reflect. And I remember, and I begin to ponder who that person was. There's a whisper in my ear of they've recorded a message for me, and I listen to it. And I close my eyes, I meditate, I reflect, and I open them. The device shuts off, the lights turn off, the screen shuts down, and a man walks by and says, "What is important about this place?" And I share with them the memory of my loved one, and I pass on some hidden truth. So they now have the memory of someone they have never met, and someone who I hold dear to my heart. So we understand that constantly pondering death and collecting memories and listening to memories, we might become a very morbid society that is stuck in this concept of we are forever mourning. But rather, we argue, if we could place our memories in a device, if we could live forever, then we could actually better live in the moment, and we can better appreciate what we have going on together on this very day. And rather than worry about where we're going to end up in the afterlife, our memories become the afterlife. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we will take feedback and questions.
So, I feel like your design is a kind of another digital monument or digital memoir that you can carry on and kind of reflect. So I'm wondering what's the fundamental difference of your critical part? So,
I think the critical part is there is an actual tangible, there's a place of location. Instead of, there's these guided city tours where you listen to it like, this place is important because of all this history, but rather it's more of our ancestry, it's more of our own personal and ancestral history placed on a very location at a very specific time. And also because we can transcend, there's a, we can see, we can hear their voices and their ideas, we can better understand who a person was from the past to today. It's a way to transcend the photo album rather than being photos. It's actually something that's tangible and we can actually react to it.
Have you thought of the encoding or uploading the memories to be detected?
Oh yeah. So basically, one of the questions which came up during design was, how do we store the memories into the device? So what we observed was the social networks today provide a very detailed log of a person's day, and we could easily map this up with a social network like a Facebook profile of your loved one, which would also have the location data, the time data, and other such details which it could show up on the screen as well. So that was one of the approaches that we've thought of.
Okay, so yeah, last question.
Are there any similar things for communication among living beings where you restrict it that you can only, where there's a restriction that you can only receive the message if you're in the right time and the right place?
That's what I know of. That's something that we could ponder and definitely play with them. It's a very similar concept, but yeah, like live in the moment, I guess.
Okay, so thanks for everyone's question. You can talk to them more after this. And we'll have the next team, Call Me Maybe.
today. Right, here we are. So during the course of the workshop, we thought that, we discussed a lot about emotion sharing. Like, how do we share emotions with somebody? So we talked about a lot of wearables that we have, like existing wearables that we have, and most of them, the sharing of data happens in a quantified way. Like it's a health tracker or a Fitbit that probably tracks your tracks your health data, and probably like it does it unconsciously, so you're not aware of when it's happening. And also the other thing that we discussed is that you cannot quantify emotions. At a particular time, what you're feeling, you yourself sometimes don't know. It's a mix. It's mixed, so you cannot just say that you're feeling happy or you're feeling sad. So we discussed about all of this, and another point that we brought out is communicating about this with our family is in a day-to-day life it becomes sort of difficult. Like what I'm facing here at grad school, my parents back in India may not understand what I'm going through. They just want to know if I'm doing okay, did I have my breakfast, lunch, and that's it. They just want that much information. They're not really worried about am I completing my assignments on time. They don't really care about that. So we thought, how can we make this more simple? Like we have smileys, we have emoticons, which are like more standardized way of communication, and you sort of sometimes don't feel like sharing that smiley, but you're like, oh, there's no other thing that probably represents my emotion, and you just send that. So we thought of having something where a device where both people could communicate. Like I could probably share my emotion, and it could be something that they feel at their end rather than seeing on their screen. So we came up with this idea. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So this is all what we thought about. Like the wearables right now, it's more unconscious sharing. So people are not aware of what is being tracked. So we thought of imbibing this into our device where it's more of a conscious sharing, where people are aware of what emotion they're feeling, so it helps them reflect on what they're feeling currently and helps them think and then share it with people. And yeah, we didn't want to have any statistics, and also we didn't have any statistics about our emotions. So it can mean anything. So if a press of a button can mean that I'm feeling something, maybe it's happiness, sadness, but I'm just having some emotion right now. It doesn't have to be quantified as a happy or sad or anything. And then we wanted to like reach out to our families and just make them show that we are having a good time here. So this is our idea. So we thought of having a necklace like this at our end, which would probably have a pressure sensor which detects how much. So based on the pressure, detects like what level of emotion are you feeling, and then sends it out to another device at the remote location, which we thought could have a motor attached to it, and which could be essentially a bubble blower. So imagine that in your living room you have a bubble blower attached, and here I'm walking on the street and I feel something like I like something, and I just press this, and in my living room when my parents are watching a movie, the bubble blower suddenly blows up and they're like, whoa, okay. We could not only like have bubble blower, we could probably attach it to a lava lamp and probably those blows up. So it is something that they can actually see and think about. And we also, so one of my teammates mentioned this, like she has a cousin who like sometimes misses her. So she could like basically press this, and in his room there are like bubbles, and he's like playing around with it, and you could use that. I thought about this also when my puppy, like when I talk to on the call, he can never recognize my voice. He's like, he doesn't recognize it, but I could probably like interact with him this way. So this is what we thought. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Any questions or feedback?
So you talked about, happiness, being able to show happiness through the bubbles or through the sensor. What about other emotions?
Currently, we haven't like categorized any emotion. Like there's currently I'm feeling something. That's what I'm showing, rather than saying what I'm exactly feeling.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just want them to know I'm going through some emotion. That's it. Like I don't want like if I'm showing them I'm feeling sad, they probably will call me and pester me like what's happening and everything. So I just want to have some kind of communication where it's not on call, but it's something that I'm interacting with the environment there, with just sharing my emotion.
And like also we were trying to, our attempt was not as much on deconstructing emotions, but more on what is the most meaningful way in which we can map what we feel to an artifact that is important to them. So if for my mom, a lampshade is very important, and I don't know, not that it is, but she probably looks at it a couple of times in a day, then can I create a pattern of what I'm feeling through the day on that lampshade? And she sees it if she's around. If she's not around, she doesn't, but I'm transmitting something and maybe she will be there to catch it, maybe not.
Okay, thank you.
So next one, we will have the sunglasses. Okay, so yeah, you can start.
Hi everyone, we're Team Sunglasses, and what's our glasses for? For us in our team, we all experience that at our home that we see our roommates working on his or her computer, but we want to talk to her or him, but we're not sure if he's available right now or not. So we're trying to help individuals signal their openness to the conversation or socialization. And the second scenario is like we are studying in a coffee shop, and at that moment we're not really open or available for socialization or interaction with people. But sometimes friends come in and see us and we'll start a conversation, but it's not we are hoping for. So our motivation for designing sunglasses is like to help individuals signal their openness or disinterest in interaction. Because sometimes when we smile, it's like based on the politeness. It doesn't necessarily like we are, hey, come in and talk to me. It doesn't mean that. So we're thinking about the further application on our sunglasses, like when a newcomer comes to a new environment and she or he is kind of shy or don't know how to start a conversation with the local people. And the other one is that sometimes cultural differences will bring up some misunderstanding in the interaction between people. Yeah, and that's what our motivation of the design.
So from this motivation, we expect our design can be help people, someone from different cultural backgrounds can feel more comfortable with interacting with other people, and also we expect that women will feel safer in public spaces like senior seconds, and also other individuals would have better idea if everyone shares openness to interaction. This is our design sketch and flow. During the brainstorming, we thought about what is the best way or figure to show our openness to interacting with other people. So we thought about like color, light, or sound as a figure, and then we came up with visual signal like weather icons such as sun, cloud, or thunderstorms. Those emoticons will be shown on the display on the glasses, because when people are interacting with other people, people are naturally looking at someone's eyes first. So that is why we chose the glasses as our wearable device. And this is our hi-fi design sketch. So we thought about our glasses like Google Glass. So if there are users who wear our sunglasses, then people can see the automated weather emoticon on the other users' glasses. And each weather emoticons represent the feeling and openness to interaction.
So we use the sunglasses and the lily pad and the touch sensor to build a prototype. We try to use the normal glasses, which is transparent and better for the eye communication. So I think that sometimes our feelings are connected to our emotions, and and to our gestures. So when you feel like more open and your hands will be more stretched, and so this sensor can detect the light and show the light and show you more incoming version of it. But sometimes when you feel not very open, your hands tend to be like in a fist and very tense, and so it's going to be like the light will be off, and it shows the signal that I'm not very open to the conversation.
So some questions that arose from our own reflection on this initial prototype and from the panel. So one of our main questions was how to design to indicate openness or closeness. It's a lot easier to maybe perhaps indicate closeness as the sunglasses themselves kind of block the eyes in some of our design, but how do you design for openness? That's a much bigger challenge. Along with that, a lot of this is very visually focused, so how can we make it more accessible and not so reliant on visuals? Along with that, we also thought about the safety and vulnerability of displaying openness and how one of our motivations was to make women feel safer, but how can we design it so that you can indicate that openness without perhaps making yourself more vulnerable. Moreover, we talked a bit about, currently we have that flex sensor in our prototype, but how can we make input a bit more subtle, and would it be possible even to automate it in some way from the body? And lastly, we talked about feedback to the wearer. A lot of this is focused on the individual who is looking at the wearer, but how can the wearer ensure that they are indeed sending the correct message? We have a short video if we have time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this situation is based on we are close friends. So yeah. So I'm in a good mood to talk with Chong. So I open my hand. Sometimes I just feel occupied and not feeling to talk to friends, so I just stay in peace. Yeah. It's kind of rude, so. But we are close friends, so it's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so yeah, any questions and feedback for their team?
I'm interested in at which stage did you come up with those critiques for yourself? I really like these critiques. So when you come up with these critiques, will you stay on your design, or why do you stay on this sunglasses? Why do you choose this one?
So I think that these are critiques that we came up with at many different stages, like from the beginning all the way through, afterwards. But we are still interested in seeing if there, I guess, was a way, and pushing through if perhaps glasses could in some way be an indicator of openness. I mean, like we talked about, I think it's easier to design for closeness, but I think that we were just interested in kind of exploring that in more detail. Yeah.
I want to know if you've thought about how this might act as a crutch for people who might be less able to share their emotions or share their feelings about their openness to communicate or not, and instead act as like a barrier to communication instead of teaching people how to, constructively communicate in other methods that might be more inclusive, right? That could use verbal and auditory and visual cues. Is that something you considered?
I think that's a really good point. Yeah, I think that this was just something that we thought of as something to kind of, I guess, aid those who are having a hard time. But like you said, that there are definitely solutions beyond technology that might benefit the wearer quite a bit more.
Okay, yeah, let's give them a round of applause. The other emotion group.
my name is Gaurang, and this is my teammate Manikandan. And we made something called as the emotion sensory design, and we've given it a fancy tagline called Feel It, Share It, Experience It. So basically this revolves around the idea of sharing emotional experiences, and then we have fine-tuned the whole concept and narrowed down on some particular applications. Basically I'll just walk you through the outline of the presentation. We'll just start with the issue why we selected this. Ways of treating depression, because that's what we are trying to combat out here. The workflow, the personas we developed, the ideas, sketches, prototype. So basically, if I ask you, what was the last thing that made you sad? And you tell me, and I say, oh, that's bad. But it's just like, it feels like empathy. You know, it doesn't feel like I'm actually experiencing what you experienced. So we thought, why not we make something that helps us share emotions? And that's why we decided something to address the issues of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, stress and anxiety, fear, all the negative emotions. We can possibly do it for the positive emotions as well. So some ways of treating depression are distraction. I mean, you could watch a movie, you could play games, you could listen to your favorite music. Expressing feelings. So now speakers said that don't find your emotions, think of them as your friend, not as your enemy. So when you actually talk out loud, you express your feelings, it kind of makes you feel better. Third way is obviously professional assistance. That's kind of not, that's one of our aspects. So I'll just walk you through the flow. In the first panel, you see that we have actually brainstormed all the ideas, put it on post-its, and ordered them together. In the second panel, we devised 3 personas based on the ideas that we put on the post-its. And in the third panel is just like the big whiteboard where we actually sorted out the needs of the people, the ideas that we had, the available technology, and how we could combine all of that together. So these are the 3 personas. The first is Allan, so he's just like us. He's an emotionally healthy guy. He has sudden depression bouts. He's an introvert. So what he wants is, he doesn't want to approach anyone. He wants medical assistance when he feels disturbed. Second is Kate. So Kate is an extroverted girl with PTSD, and she's always surrounded by people, but she doesn't want anyone else to know that she's suffering from depression, and she actually wants to cope it by herself. Third guy is Edward. He's actually a compassionate helper. He wants to help out his friends, but he doesn't know when his friends feel sad. So the ideas that we kind of developed were, something that alerts people, either the medical professional that his patient is feeling depressed, or someone else, his friend, is feeling depressed. Second one was like something that we thought like a sci-fi thing. It's predict and treat. So using machine learning, you can check when a person is feeling depressed. Third is something called as environmental changes. So if you're feeling depressed, the device will actually connect to your Bluetooth speaker and start playing songs from your favorite playlist, or change the lights. Fourth is something called as teletherapy. So if my friend is actually feeling sad, I can do something to help it, but not being in the same area. And fourth is like the haptic feedback, vibrations, which is proven to help treat people with depression. So now I'll hand it over to Mani, who will explain how it prototype.
Thank you, Gaurang. So as you can see, these are the initial sketches that we came up with, and just to reiterate the problem, we just wanted to make sure that we tackle the issue of emotion sharing, and the sketches that you can see are kind of focused around all these 3 different personas, and the one that you can see on the left is something like a very initial kind of a sketch that we came up with for haptic feedbacks and how to share emotions through technology. So this was what we came up with. You can see probably a picture of me with all those wearables standing over there. So as you can see, there are 2 parts to this. The first part is, I'm probably going to split this into 2. Like one part is the one which is on my left hand, the other one is on the right hand. So for instance, the part 1 is on the right hand. Sorry, that's on the left hand. So what happens here, the one aspect that you cannot see on my left hand is like I have an EMG sensor just attached to my bicep over here. So what happens is when the research says that if you're kind of emotionally stressed, or if you have a very, if you're going through a depression or something, there's a muscle contraction, and this EMG sensor, what it does, it can pick up all those muscle sensors, the signals that are transmitted through the muscles, and we are transmitting that as a vibration to someone who's not physically there. So these 2 gloves in a typical scenario is going to be with 2 different people, So the left glove is for the person who is sending the emotions, the right glove is someone who's going to receive the emotions. So right off the prototype we made everything to be wired, but in reality it's going to be wireless, something like Internet of Things. So once you send out your emotions, it's going to be received as a vibration for the other person, and once he receives a vibration, he knows that he has to do something to help you out. So what he can typically do is it's just going to clutch his hand up, like there are some flex sensors attached to the person's hand. So once he does that, it's going to send something like a heat signal to the one who is actually sending the emotion. So what we have here in his left hand, which you cannot see inside, is a heat pad. This heat pad is going to heat up. It's going to give you something like a warmth, so that you kind of feel better about yourself, so that someone else is there to help you even if they are not physically there. So there's this small demo that I want to show you. So this is a very short demo of what we have here. Like once I flex my flex sensor on the right hand, it just sends out a signal which is going to heat up on my left arm, and once I do that, there is this wearable which is going to send the vibrations. So this is how it's typically going to work. But the fact is that both these different types of variables are going to be at two different persons.
So we had to actually disassemble the prototype because there were like too many wires, and then we had to return the components, and it would have been like a pain to actually put it back on, and we didn't have time. So like my friend Mani said, that we have two parts out here. The left part is for one person, and the right part is for the other. I'll just reiterate what he said. The right part the left part has the EMG sensor on the bicep. So when a person feels stressed, it's going to transmit a signal. And on the other person, we have a bracelet which has a vibration motor. So it vibrates to let the person know that, hey, I'm feeling stressed. This person has a flex sensor on his right hand. So when he flexes, a signal goes on to here, and the heating pad gets activated. Basically, that is the one that we're trying to do. The second part is the peer support system. Now this can be also extended to the self-sufficient system, because if you're feeling stressed, the EMG, the muscle sensor will pick up signals, and it could activate the vibration bracelet which is on your hand, because haptic feedback has been medicinally proven to help calm you down. Again, the purpose served is sharing of emotional experiences. And fourth can be a notification, so that the muscle sensor, after picking up the signals, can actually send an alert to your doctor, and your doctor can call up and follow up with that. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Because of time, it's 1 now. So if you want to talk to them, you can find time and chat with them and why they create this project. And let's thank all of them again for creating these projects. I think it's amazing for me because they did all these things like scenarios, prototype, all within just 16 hours. They didn't sleep, so yeah. Okay, so that's about the workshop.